Hello, everybody. I had a question asked to me about a guy at church this morning about what are my study habits for studying for a particular certification. And the first time I talked to him was probably um, not too long ago, last few months maybe. I had been to church in a couple of weeks, so I had to go this morning. But he asked me how the studying was going. I was like, it's going real well. I got the new job, and it's helping me a lot with the WAN side of the house because that's what I deal with most of the time. So he goes, well, what are your study habits right now? What do you do for studying? And, is it all book? Is it, hands on? I'm like, it's a mixture of all, book, video, and hands on. So, like, in this case here, I found this book at routeralley.com. I was just looking for free things I could download, free CCNA study guide. Do I need a study guide? Technically, no, because I know exactly where I'm at. I'm not ready to take the exam quite yet. I downloaded I'm sorry, I bought a CCNA book, and I'll take you to the website that I bought it from here in a minute. But I went online and I just, you know, I went through and this thing goes through. I've only glanced over it, but it goes through pretty much everything CCNA. So if you're going to take the composite exam, this would be something you'd want to have. It's not the official certification guide from Cisco, but it's a close second in my understanding. So like it goes over everything. Now it is a little old. It's still got IGRP, which has been removed from the exam, and so has RIP version 1 because they make you do RIP version 2 and EIGRP and OSPF. So some of it's kind of old. I don't know how up to date this is because I just started going through it, but it goes through everything you need to know. Every concept that might be brought up is talked about. Now, with that being said, books are good as all. Books are only as good as the author behind them. So this guy's a CCNP. I didn't bother looking him up or anything like that to verify who he was or anything like that. But one thing I did find, and I've been using this website for a while now. It's called freeccnaworkbook.com. I actually found him through Facebook. I found him online, and it takes you through the initial settings of how to do pretty much everything. Because there's a lot of GNS3 that I use, and as you can see, GNS3 that I use for all my advanced stuff. And then it goes through labs, basic password reset, and then how do you configure certain things, and so on and so forth. The the important part is knowing the basics and knowing, and once you have the basics down, you can build upon those. Don't I usually start off with a where did I put it? Right here. This right here is a Word document or a Notepad document that I created when I started studying after I failed the CCNA the last time. I started going through and I just started taking notes. And notes are valuable. And I don't know how many pages this thing is, but it's quite long. And I'm hitting the page down button while I do this. But this thing goes through everything you're going to need to know about the CCIE written exam. Actually, I'm taking bits and pieces out of the Advanced Technologies class, which is all the videos and goes in depth on everything. But the point is, you need to have a basic understanding of the technology. Once you do, then you can build upon that. So, like right now, I'll take that out of the way. I've got this this thing right here, switches. It does a lot. So, like you're gonna understand how Ether channel works, trunking, VLANs and CDP. Um, the multiple, it does bring in multiple spanning tree, but you're not going to get into that at the CCNA level. And then span and stuff like that. Then you're going to get disregard the ads for Google, but you're going to get some WAN stuff in here, so T1, frame relay, stuff like that, stuff that you're going to see on the CCNA. Then static routing. What is a static route? How do you float it so that it becomes more of a backup route, so to speak? So like you have a routing protocol running, whatever it may be, and then what you do is for the wait, the static route, you float it. So you type in the syntax IP route, what the destination you want to get to and how it's going to get there. So 1.1.1.1 or 1.1.1.0, 255.0, and then it's going to go out to the next top IP address of the remote network. So you type that in, and at the end, you give it an administrative distance. If you put an administrative distance higher than the routing protocol you're working with, and then your routing protocol goes down. So like say for instance, RIP dies, or the route that RIP has for that entry is no longer valid. What it'll do is it'll fail over to the floating static route. Then there's a static default route, which is any traffic that is not destined for your internal network. If it doesn't match one of the IP addresses you have internally, it'll ship it out to the internet. That's what they have. A lot of RIP, EIGRP, OSPF, route redistribution, stuff that you're going to need to know about with DHCP, IPv6, and then, the GUIs, what's the SDM, and then there is a test. I pass the test every time I take it, but it's the same test every time. There's no change. But I recommend taking a practice exam, whether it's online or you pay for one. Now, one thing that I did, I'll take you to the other thing that I do. I also do a lot of video training. So it's like I have somebody else. The guy that's training here, his name is Jeremy Chara. It's a CBT Nuggets video series, as you can see, CBT Nuggets right here. And what he does is he walks you through each step of the CCNA. So in this case, I was going through NAT. I'm not strong in NAT. I'm not strong in access control. I'm still working on IPv6. I still have weaknesses. And that's why I figured since this class is going over that type of stuff, it would be a good time for me to review it. Because I plan on taking the CCNA here in a couple of months. So the idea was to go through and get a strong understanding of what I was missing. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So the idea is real simple. You go through the conceptual video, and then the next one is the config. How do you configure NAT? And I think that one, it was just a drizzle. So whenever it rains. Now that we understand the concepts, we turn our attention to the NAT command line configuration. In ICND1, what he's basically going to do is, like he says, he's going to go from understanding the NAT concept to the configuration. Now, I've had some issues with dealing with this guy, and he has a tendency of getting off topic. And there were a couple times. I'm not saying that he's a bad trainer. What I'm saying is going with just one resource for your certification is a bad idea. Don't put all of your understanding into one basket of resource. Meaning, don't just rely on video training for your only resource. You are going to need a book that's going to be written by somebody else that might cover something else. So I highly recommend going out and getting the CCNA certification study guide and going through that and trying to get a basic understanding of what's going on, because there's certain things in the book that won't be covered in the videos and vice versa. Where here he gives you, so let's get out of the way, live command line stuff. So like you see him go in and go through and start configuring and trying to get to a point where he configures an access list. So like I'll let it play for just a second. You know what? Just for this example, I'm going to permit everybody to be natted. You know what? Except, just for fun of it, I'm just like I had my arrow pointed over here. I'm going to deny these people from being natted. So I'm going to put my deny first. I'm going to say, instead of permit, deny 192.168.3.0 0.0.0.255. That's my wildcard mask. So the first thing I'm doing, I'm denying these guys from being included in the NAT addresses or addresses to be natted. Now, I'm going to go in and do a permit after that. 192.168.0.0 0.0.255.255 is my wildcard mask, which says match everything that starts with 192.168, and I don't care what comes after that. Now, because this is an ordered access list, I'll do a show access list.
It's going to deny these people first if they come in. But if you are not, this essentially says if you are not 192.168.3.0, but you are anything that starts with 192.168, then you are permitted. That's my second step. I have now created an access list which identifies internal IP addresses to be translated.
Did you get that? He, like he said right here, he puts the syntax in that he denies anything from the 3 network covering the wildcard mask. It would be the same thing as you going to OSPF and typing 192.168.3.0, 0.0.0.255. Same concept, except for in that case you're saying only allow that network to use OSPF as its routing protocol. Well, in this case, you're saying I want to deny the 3 network and everything from the 3 network. So this 0 equals this 0 equals this 0 equals this. So 0 means look at this. 0 means pay attention to this. Okay. If these match right here to this, then the numbers, the bits turned on, the 255, means I don't care. This can go through. This is what I want to allow. Okay? Or this is what I want you to, this is what I don't care about. So, or pay attention to this. So, the idea is the same thing with this one down here. So 192.168.0.0. I mean, he did a pretty good job of explaining it, which I got the first time I listened to him. So, do I need to go reiterate over that? Not really. But the next thing I want to show you real quick is actually let me go bring up my this guy right here and type in www.amazon. Type in examcram. I bought this book right here. Okay, I bought this book. It's a great book because it allows you to go through the book and it's got everything you need to know. It goes through every section of, and he is a CCIE. This is Jeremy. That's actually how you spell Chara. I think it's Romanian or something like that. But he covers each concept, or coverage of each objective for the exam. Now, with that being said, one second while I pull up, where'd it go? Certification preparation. When you buy the book, you get this CD. You install the program in the CD. You click on this guy, cancel. You click on this, and then you can start the test. You start the test. You have study mode, and then what it does is there is administered to allow you to request the correct answers and explanation. Study mode, great concept. You can do all 310 questions if you wanted to. Certification mode is timed. Custom mode, you can say I want to test just on ICND2 stuff. Like I said, book is great. So yes, I want to cancel out the. I highly recommend getting the book. It's a little old, but the concepts are still there. So that's what I would do if I was you guys. I would definitely do this and buy the book, go through it, and before you do anything, go in and just go through and take a test. Take a test, see where you're at, because then that'll if you've already been through all the concepts and you know the material, and maybe you're planning on taking the exam but you don't know if you're ready yet, take the test. Just take it cold without having to review anything that day or whatever. Go in, take the test. Don't go to Google and Google an answer. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, you don't. Find out where you sit. It doesn't give you a printout of where you were weak, but at least it gives you an idea of where you sit. And then you can review the answers, and you can find out which ones were right, which ones were wrong, and then it gives you an explanation of why you were right or wrong. So it's a great tool in that regard. And I've actually took the test yesterday. You need an 80% to pass. I got a 72. So that tells me I need some, and I knew right where I was weak because I didn't know the answers to a lot of access lists and network address translation. So I'm going to spend today going through that type of stuff and going through the config and making sure that I understand the stuff. So that's basically what I wanted to say. And if you have any questions, just give me a holler. You know my email, rriker82@yahoo.com. That's rriker82@yahoo.com. Shoot me an email, rriker82@gmail.com. I get both sent to my phone. So send me an email if you have a question, you need anything else. So I do want to shoot out one thing real quick. This is more of a shout out to everybody that's pay attention to my videos. 163 views. That's huge. What was it? 2 weeks ago, before I put it up, I was at 110. So in the last 2 weeks, I've gotten 50 views, and I've added some videos in the meantime, and stuff like that. So if you're curious about how something works, shoot me an email. I can go over it, explain it, anything you need to do. So I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for